Hello, Canisius. Today on Griffin Insiders, the STAR panel will be discussing the idea of having a 24/7 library. We will also be graced with a surprise visit from the newly crowned Mr. Canisius, Patrick Clancy. I'm Bridget Fallon, filling in for Claire Daigle. This is Griffin Insiders. Our first story today is on the library, specifically whether or not it should expand its hours. While some students are calling for a 24-hour library, those who work there think the hours are just fine. Take a look.
The library is a haven of studying for many students at Canisius College. Even through the construction, the library has seen much traffic over the past months. During finals week, the library remains open 24/7, but students have always complained that it would be in their benefit to have these constant hours year-round.
Work-study student.
Okay, and you just work at the front desk?
Yes, I just work at the front desk.
Okay. What's your opinion on the library being open 24/7?
Well, we've tried it before, and it hasn't worked successfully. We do it during finals week, like the week before, and then the week during finals week, and we just haven't seen enough traffic through the doors in order to keep it open. In order to keep it open, there has to be heightened security, just in case people come in who aren't supposed to be here. So we found that it has not been a successful attempt to keep it open 24 hours.
So now it's open till 2 a.m., right?
Yes, it's always been open till 2.
Okay. Do you think they'll ever go later than that?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've worked till 2 before, and there's usually maybe 3 or 4 people in here. I mean, sometimes when it's close to finals week, you get a couple more, but by 2 a.m., most people have already left the library, so I don't see the point in keeping it open too much longer.
When's like the busiest time at the library?
Probably in the afternoons. It does get busy at night when there's a lot of work due for people, but for the most part, it's probably afternoon because a lot of commuters come in there and do work during the daytime. So I'd say daytime's the busiest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you close earlier on Friday nights, right?
Yes, we close Friday at 8, and I believe 8 as well on Saturday, and then 2 a.m. on Sunday.
Okay, and do you find that that's like a problem for people? Like, does anyone want to study on a Friday or Saturday night? I've
never had a problem with it. I've never heard any complaints really, but I guess I've heard a few people say they wish it's open because they might have been paper, but I think for the majority it isn't a problem. Because you can always find a classroom or something if you really need work done on a Friday evening, at least I have.
Okay, do you think that you would benefit from the library being open 24 hours a day?
Absolutely, because literally I used to, I'm in the library till 2 o'clock when they close, and I end up getting kicked out and then I end up going somewhere else, so it'd be awesome.
Yeah. What's your major?
Finance.
Okay, and so you're here a lot. So do you have a lot of tests to study for, or is it papers?
It's a lot of tests.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely here all the time.
And what if Tim Hortons was open later too?
Tim Hortons, yeah, I mean, it would be okay if it wasn't open. I guess it's really not that big of a deal.
We're going to turn it over to our panel to talk about what we just heard. Now, Marissa, you brought up the idea of getting a 24 library to the Senate. Why do you think that would be a good idea?
Well, actually, it was brought up to me as student concern. I'm always in the library past midnight. That's actually when I usually head on over. And I mean, I think it would be a great thing to have just because, I know as the video said, there's not a lot of traffic after, midnight, but the reason for it is because we know it's going to close at 2. Why would we go there to just do 2 hours worth of work? If I personally knew it would be open longer, I would be inclined to stay longer.
No, me too, absolutely. And do you guys think there might be any risks associated with the 24-hour library?
There are. I think I can speak to that. I spoke with Christine Kasbaum, who was in charge of the library last year, because I brought the topic up in a column in the newspaper, and I reached out to her after that and we talked about it, and she said, well, there's the issue of drunk students on a Friday or Saturday night. She said coming back and knowing that the library is open and not necessarily staffed, because she thought, could we just have swipe access? And going in there and ravaging the books. Well, the issue would then be having a public safety officer walk through every now and then, having at least one student staffer at the desk, which doesn't cost much because they aren't paid very much, something. And she said, well, okay, and we didn't make any progress there. And as Marissa said, you can't change student attitudes in a single year. Anything takes a cycle of a year to 2 years, and then the culture changes. I think if we had a 24/7 library, you'd see students use it more and more over the space of 2 years, and then the whole academic culture of Canisius changes, and we become more invested in our studies, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
I think too that Aiden speaks to the big point about the whole staffing issue, and I think that would be where the biggest problem is, especially that first few years where you can be deterred by seeing, oh, there's 5 students in here tonight, oh, there's 10 students in here tonight. But once again, as a discussion we had in the past was that the library is largely the center of Canisius campus. I mean, a lot of people go there, whether it's from at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, even till when it's exam week at 1 in the morning or even beyond that. And I think that that culture change would be very beneficial, especially because we don't have a full-fledged student union. So to have Canisius, the library be open, I think that would definitely help foster the community atmosphere.
No, that sounds great. And what do you guys think would be the result of it being open 24 hours? Do you think people would come in not only to do just their homework to hang out, but also to try to hang out with everyone in the library to get to know them? So,
You know, I think immediately it's going to help certain constituents more, at least right off the bat. Like this Sunday, you saw 15 to 20 kids lining up outside the library, as they do every single Sunday, because we open at 11. And they're always waiting, and you know who's waiting more so than undergraduates are students who come in from Canada, commuters who need that time. I think the fact is we're just not serving our student body. If we had a 24/7 library, yeah, people would be using it to hang out at 4 in the morning, to have, do whatever, but I think a lot of people would be using it to study too, and I think both are legitimate needs that we could meet here.
And I think a lot of those questions and those problems that could possibly rise could be addressed just by enforcing, which floor is the quiet floor, which floor is, public space. Enforce that and come up with the rules a little bit more of a specific guaranteed level, so you know what you're getting on each floor. Right now we know the top floor is definitely the quiet floor. Well, if it's open 24/7, then you can then say, well, this main floor is going to be more of a public space. This way then you can kind of guard away from any problems.
And with the renovation right now, this is the perfect time to open up the library 24/7.
Exactly.
I mean, let's really commit to it. This is now a fully functioning space. I think, and actually, if we can speak to the renovation and our investment in the library, I think in times of prolonged budget crises or belt tightening, it's easy to lose sight of our priorities. When we have a surplus, we can put money into this and that, and that's great, but when we're trying to save money, we forget that fundamentally we are a college, and our number one priority should be always academics.
No, I agree. And that is all of our time for our first segment, but coming up, we are going to talk to the newly crowned Mr. Canisius, Pat Clancy.
There was one day that we had just done the cardiovascular unit, in class that day. And then right after class, I went over to the Vascular Institute, volunteered, put the scrubs on. And one of the doctors asked me if I wanted to see an open heart surgery. And so I said, yeah, really? Sure.
I came into Canisius as obviously as a freshman, not really sure what I wanted to do. I ended up taking a digital media arts class, and that really just kind of jump-started, my career.
And I think being where we are in the city and in the world with the medical campus that we have here is really an opportunity that I wouldn't have anywhere else.
It's more than just academics. Meet different people. Go out and do things. There's so much more to college. It's an experience.
I instantly fell in love with doing video work, graphic design. I started pursuing more and more opportunities in the school, whether it was doing admissions videos on the sides. I did a couple videos for alumni relations, the president of the college, and then I actually got noticed last year, and they sent me over to the Philippines to create a feature-length documentary.
I lived with a host family while I took classes in Spanish with Spanish professors at the University of Oviedo, and I was a Spaniard for a semester, and it was the best decision I made as a college student.
you look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
And we're back on Griffin Insiders. Bridget Fallon's still with you, along with Anthony, Aiden, and Patrick Clancy, the newly crowned Mr. Canisius.
You know, Bridget, your hair is looking great. We neglected to mention that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, thank you so much.
Balls and curls, yes.
It almost looks like Claire's.
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh,
Close enough.
They must use the same shampoo.
am I doing a good job at filling in for
I think
Claire
so.
today?
Wonderful
Okay,
job.
perfect. Well, Pat, you had almost 2 days now as being Mr. Canisius. How does it feel for you?
You know, doesn't really change anything. You know, I want to do Mr. Canisius because, you know, I love Canisius, and it was just a lot of fun. I got to spend my time with great people like Anthony, and, you know, we got to dance and have fun.
And people worshipped you and asked for your autograph before Mr. Canisius,
Right,
so
that-
very little has changed in your
That
personal
already
life.
happened.
I
you
mean,
know.
I won't lie. I wanted his autograph beforehand, and now the fact that I did get to spend so much time, it's a little bit more of a meaningful experience for me.
Aw. Well, for both of you guys, what was it like preparing for Mr. Canisius, taking on that challenge?
You know, I think it was one of those experiences where it didn't matter if you won or you lost. It was really just a great experience because, I mean, it got me outside of my comfort zone, doing something that I usually don't do. I mean, I'm typically sitting at a desk working with our clubs, which I love to do, but to get out there doing some dancing and showing what a Senate meeting could be like, a little bit more hectic, was a good experience for me. Plus, once again, I get to work with great people like Pat.
Yeah, the people is definitely the #1 thing. You know, I really, you know, Anthony, we've known each other for how long, and we've never really gotten to hang out before Mr. Canisius.
Right. I mean, it was like a set time for hangout. Today I saw Alex in the subway line, and, you know, he said, well, I'll see you, guess I'm not going to see you this Thursday.
Right, yeah, I mean, that was definitely the biggest thing, and we had so much talent that it was anybody's game, and it was so much fun for us, like during practice, we would get to like watch the show kind of in between like changes and everything. So I don't know about you, but I couldn't get enough of it. Like I loved watching all the talents
We
and
could go
everything.
back and do it again, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd be all right with that.
It was definitely progress, and seeing it come together, I bet that was really rewarding towards the end.
Yeah, there were lots of changes. The beginning was pretty rough. I know it took me a really long time to learn the dance. And
Dances are hard.
we practiced for like almost 2 months on the dance.
Yeah. I mean, we were making changes to the dance, the rehearsal before.
Oh yeah, that rehearsal we made changes.
We were trying new ideas. We wanted it to be the best we could do for the audience, and not just do what we would normally were planning to do, but try and get out there and give them a little bit something different. So it was a cool experience.
You know, because you were both candidates, I want to pose this to you both, and get a little potentially controversial here. But Neil Savoy, who ran for president recently, said, "Let's bring in a Ms. Canisius," and he has wide support from certain constituencies. But I know grads in the CPLD have shut it down before. Do you think that's viable in the next couple of years? And yes, no, why not?
Personally, I think that would be a great idea. I've always been under the impression that if you did a Mr. and Mrs. Canisius, you could or Miss Canisius, you could have a really cool event then centered around that, especially with having a homecoming now. I mean, you do Mr. Canisius and a Miss Canisius rehearsals over the summer, and you do it right off the bat, and you have a Mr. and Miss right for homecoming. That'd be a really cool event. But once again, I think it's similar to having Mr. Canisius. You need to have the rules in place and the understanding of what it is, and not allowing it become something more than that, which is what I think that the CPLD grads are afraid of.
Yeah. And how do you guys feel how the show actually went? Because I mean, that could transition into other events such as Mrs. Canisius. Were you guys satisfied with the end result, with the audience, with how it all came together?
I mean, Mr. Canisius is all about fun, and like that's the #1 thing. I'm gonna go on your thoughts exactly where, you know, as long as it's kept fun, because I feel like they might be thinking that, you know, with Miss Canisius, it might get a little bit more.
It could turn into something else.
But the problem is that attitude,
serious.
you know, it's really a paternalistic attitude, I think, and that's maybe what they're missing here. And I don't think we should have that at Canisius in this day and age.
Well, a little thing, even with Mr. Canisius, it can get into kind of a bit of a cat fight. I've been told from a couple of people, you know, a couple of years that sometimes the contestants don't always get along together, and you know, I most certainly had a little bit of an attitude going in.
Of course.
But you know, that's going to be happening. And I think that you know, the women out there totally deserve a Miss Canisius. It would be so much fun to watch that.
You know, fun fact, the new librarian often works nights, Ian Scholl. He was once Mr. Canisius. I don't know what year, but yeah, go ask him about it.
That's amazing. We should go and meet him. Compare sashes.
Oh yeah.
So like diplomacy meeting. Sit down for tea or something.
Get a picture. Okay, so now moving it to less of a serious note, how did you guys come up with what superheroes you were going to be? How did you come up with Mr. Incredible?
I mean, it really kind of rolled off the tongue because it's, you know, for Mr. Canisius, it's already Mr. Canisius, so Mr. Incredible. Well, and another thing, I went to a prom with my current girlfriend, and we were getting, you know, a character done, and he's like, you have a really big chin. You look like Buzz Lightyear or like Mr. Incredible. So I kind of took that and
natural fit,
ran with that, yeah.
No, that sounds great. Well, what was your favorite part of the show for just everyone, as audience members, as contestants?
I would have to say the best part of the show is definitely the talents.
Oh yeah.
Because even though, you know, my talent was a lot of ad-lib going right into it, but then even the ones that
changed every time.
It did change every time. I mean,
Yeah.
even our pickup lines changed every single time. But I mean, you know, to go in there and be really on edge of everything's got to work out, and you know, you see them right at the very last minute changing. You never knew what was going to happen. I mean, at one point, Brett was starting with a guitar, then he didn't have a guitar, and you know, things would change.
changed like every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He had a lot of changes go through his.
I mean, at one point, his intro had the Pokemon theme song, and it was pretty kick butt. And I was, as soon as he lost that Pokemon intro, I was conversing with my people. Do we take it? Do we take it? Do we take the Pokemon? Yes? No? No? Okay, we'll leave it. Let it sit. That was for me.
Definitely the talents. That was a whole lot of fun. The intros were fun too, because that was like mini talents. That was a lot quicker. But yeah, the pickup lines were also really fun, just because, you know, me and Patty, God bless her. What a wonderful woman.
You could not have picked a better person to use a pickup line on.
Oh, no.
And Pat, you hit it home. I'm not going to lie to you. As soon as you did your pickup line, I was like, all right, I'm out. Checking out, bags packed, let's go.
My original one had, pickup lines also changed quite a bit too. My original one was almost seen as kind of a backhanded, kind of, you wouldn't want to say to Patty.
No. Yeah, a little sassy.
Oh yeah, very sassy.
So what was your original one, if I may ask?
The original one is actually an original Pat Clancy pickup line.
TM?
Yes, yes. So you kind of go up and like, oh, ooh, like, whoa, what is that smell? And I was like, girl, is you trash? Because I want to take you out.
Yeah.
Which is...
That could have changed the game
yeah,
if you used that one.
That wouldn't...
I think my favorite from rehearsal, though, was definitely Alex Tabrides. The one about the happiness. I used to think happiness was spelled with the letter H, but, you know, recently after seeing you, I now know it starts with you.
Aww.
It was so cute.
No, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Well, thank you guys for all coming thank you guys for all coming onto the show today and sharing your experience about Mr. Canisius. And thank you to all you guys for tuning in and checking out our show today. Be sure to visit www.griffintv.net to stay updated on all that is going on here in the Canisius community. Also, if you want to ask our panel some questions, tweet us at Griffin Insiders, and we will ask them on the air.